This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. Recently, I started using Anchor as my podcast host. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part. And you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch in one place. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From the New York Times, Russia-Ukraine war summary. The EU has proposed a ban on all Russian coal imports, alongside a ban on most Russian trucks and ships. Ukrainian President Zelensky addressed the United Nations Security Council yesterday. Germany has seized temporary control of their local Gazprom unit, Gazprom being one of Russia's biggest energy companies, in order to secure their gas supply against Russian intervention. And the U.S. has announced plans to order and send 10 of its newest model Switchblade drones, optimized to take out tanks, alongside previously announced deliveries of other military hardware to Ukraine. Russian ships are reportedly swapping out their flags at 3 times the usual rate, presumably to conceal their affiliation with Moscow and to avoid sanctions. And the U.S. has halted dollar-based debt payments from Russian accounts at U.S. banks, which should make it even harder for the Russian government to pay their international debts, a process that has already been hobbled, delayed, and made more cumbersome by existing sanctions. From Reuters, Taliban bans drug cultivation, including lucrative opium. Over the weekend, the Taliban-led Afghan government announced a ban on the cultivation of narcotics in the country, including opium. The Taliban actually banned the production of poppies, from which opium is made, at the tail end of their previous rule in 2000, when they were trying to establish better relations with the international community. But when they were kicked out, the poppies returned, and opium has been a huge cash crop for the region ever since. The United Nations estimates that Afghanistan's opium production was worth about $1.4 billion in 2017, and it's thought they may be willing to let go of whatever cut they're getting of those sales to once more establish better relations with the currently primarily antagonistic outside world. And from Bloomberg, Peru imposes curfew in Lima as violent inflation protests spread. The Peruvian president announced a curfew in Lima yesterday in the wake of protests sparked by ballooning inflation on core products like fuel and fertilizer that have spiraled into violent clashes with police. Rampant inflation in Peru, the highest in 24 years, has hit everyday people hard, leading to temporary shortages of food and other fundamentals, alongside an array of supply chain issues that have hurt local export-reliant businesses. The curfew is paired with a state of emergency meant to help the government deal with strikes by bus drivers who have blocked major highways and worsened those supply chain slowdowns. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.